Hi, my name is William Noyes. I'm with Microlon International, and I've traveled from Hawaii halfway around the world to England in the beautiful Cotswolds area. And I'm with Paul Butler with Butler Racing Team. Now, Paul has an enviable record, 14 national championships in motocross racing in England over the past 4 years. And Paul is one of us. He's a believer in Microlon, the magic of Microlon. Paul, I'm so happy to be here.
No, thank you for coming and taking the time to come and see us. And if everybody can see, it's absolutely raining outside, so shame you're here in this weather.
Well, I'm glad to be here all the same. I'm glad to be here all the same. It's a real pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
You've been using Microlon for...
Yeah, Keaton's been using my eldest son, who's 17, and who's been in the team. He's ridden for Suzuki for 4 years. Now he's riding with Honda, and a major part of his motocross career has been Microlon behind the scenes, because we've used it in all his bikes, and the knock-on effect from that is just tremendous. I mean, we've had less wear in the engines, the bikes have had more brake horse, we've put them on dynos to prove it to ourselves. And when the mechanics have finished with his bikes and installed Microlon in the engine, Keaton takes a bike out, we take 2 or 3 bikes out, he tries all different bikes. We have an engine that's been done by ourselves here, we have an engine that's been done by somebody else, and we just have a plain Microlon engine. Every time he picks the Microlon engine, and every time his reaction is, what have you done to that bike? Every time. And we also use the other Microlon products as well, the greases and things like that. So yeah, and the other thing is, what we've noticed with the Microlon is the fact that it leaves a film within the engine, so the friction is between the film itself, not the metal in the engine, so it gives you less wear and tear in the engine. And Keaton, when he was riding on the 125s, he was changing pistons, or we were changing pistons every 3 hours. Now we were changing pistons every 26, 27 hours, and to be honest, the only thing we really needed to change was the piston rings. But because we get loads of pistons and that's sent to us, we just use the pistons. Mm-hmm. However, our supplier of pistons had 20 odd pistons sent back to him last year, and he was quite surprised that he said, why haven't you used them? What's wrong with them? Nothing's wrong with them, it's just the product we're using in the engine.
We don't need so many pistons.
No, for sure.
Amazing.
So yeah, so the product, to be honest with you, really it should be the best kept secret. But we even, we've done one of our vans as well, and we've noticed within the van, the fuel economy is a lot better. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, I've had a joke with a friend of mine who does all the emissions test on the van, and the van now is actually not as smoky or as bad as it was, and it's better than a Toyota Prius on the emissions.
Wow. Which
is incredible.
Well, this is what we found to be true, that Microlon reduces emissions unbelievably. We've seen a 60% reduction in hydrocarbons on big diesel engines.
Yep.
And a corresponding 60% in lube oil consumption, 60% reduction.
Yeah. These
big diesels are burning 60% less oil because of the film.
Yeah, yeah.
Paul, I feel like we're magicians. I mean, I go to the Philippines and I pour our magic into the engines, and we take old, worn out, smoking engines, and they run better than new. And that's a claim that we make, and people just don't believe it.
Well, the funny thing is, we put it in the bikes from brand new, and we straight away, bang, instant difference. Everything's mass manufactured, as you know. You never get 2 barrels the same, you never get 2 pistons the same, so and what the Microlon does, it takes all the impurities out of the barrel, all the nicks in there, the little holes that are in there and things like that, fills them all in and leaves a lovely smooth surface. It just makes me laugh when we take the engine apart and people go, has he been riding this bike? It's like, yeah, it's had a really hard life. And they're like, really? And it doesn't, the power doesn't drop off. That's the amazing thing. It just doesn't drop off.
I have reports 700,000 miles on one treatment, and the economy is not dropping off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can believe it.
Yeah.
I can believe it. We even use the Microlon suspension products in some bikes as well, which Again, the stanchions on the bikes, not this one. This one's running factory RG3 suspension, and we haven't got it in this one at the moment because it's such a high-profile company we're with that we've got to talk to them about using it because we would like to use it, but it would go against what they're doing at the moment. But we are in talks with them to, you know, RG3 UK to see if, you know, if there's a way we can use it. However, on the other bikes, we're using it on my other two youngest sons' bikes in the suspension. And what we've noticed is it's so more plush. Also, there's no stiction in the forks. So when you push the forks down, it doesn't do this, which a lot of forks do. It's
just up
constant and smooth. And, you know, the proof is in the pudding because when they ride, we have lap times, we have their transponders on the bikes. And normally, at the end of the day, they're riding around a rougher track. It's bumpier, everything else, and they're normally faster on the last lap of the day than they are on the first one when the track's smooth because the suspension's working so much better for them.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is indeed.
Amazing.
And who'd have thought that?
Wonderful. So let me tell you my story.
Yeah.
When I became a true Microlon believer, I was over on the island of Maui, and I was going to treat an 80-horse Johnson outboard on a dive boat.
Yeah.
And every day it burned 18 gallons round trip to the island of Lanai. And I thought, well, let's do a little test. So we drove out of the harbor on a regular tank of fuel, oil, gas mixture. In the other tank, I put 12 ounces of Microlon. Paul, when we changed to the fuel source with a Microlon, I swear to God, and I break out in goosebumps because I didn't believe it myself while I was watching it.
Yeah.
In 4 minutes, the RPMs climbed without touching the throttle from 35 to 4,200 RPMs in 4 minutes.
Do you know, you say that, we when we install it in the bikes, you can hear when the system is finished because the noise of the bike drops. And you can tell it's not working so hard. And you can tell. Even when you install it in a new bike, there's grease inside the engines. When they put them all together, it burns all that out. And you just have white smoke everywhere for a little bit. You think, oh my God, what have I done? Then it just all clears. You know, and installing it properly, I'm a believer in that as well. You know, it's
very
got to be
important.
done. Yeah,
very important.
Definitely.
Yeah, people who don't install say it's not working, and if it's not installed properly,
Yeah.
it won't be the full benefit.
It's like putting fuel in your radiator.
Yeah, I did that once. It
Really?
boils out very quickly.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
But let me finish my story.
Sure.
Here's the point. A year later, I called this skipper back, and I said, "Did you notice the difference?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I used to burn 18 gallons round trip. Now I'm burning 12. 33.33% reduction in
Yeah.
fuel."
Yeah.
Now that's a high RPM engine under a heavy load, and that's where Microlon really shines.
Yeah.
You know, in a car we see what 10
Yeah.
to 15%
Yeah.
better mileage, but
Yeah.
in a hard-working engine, this is where it shines.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
And a performance engine, you know. And to be honest with you, ever since we've used Microlon, we've had no failures in our engines. So, and that's saying something because
Yes.
the winds and weathers we ride in and we drive in, you know, it's, you know, the UK weather now is just absolutely pouring rain, and you know we still need to get out and practice, and the bikes are really heavy and cloggy, and you know, and we still never have any failures.
Yes.
So you know that alone is worth its weight in gold.
Absolutely. Well, you know,
Finishing races.
yes. Well, Honda, Suzuki, all of these big companies have racing programs to determine the weaknesses in their engines.
Yeah,
And obviously, Microlon is working for you.
yeah, it is for sure.
Yeah,
It is.
amazing. It's amazing.
No, it's funny because when we go to the pits, you know, if it had been anybody else, I don't think they would talk about Microlon because it should be the best kept secret for any race team.
This is what I've found over the years. A lot of racers don't talk about Microlon, and the guys like yourself who want to share a good thing,
Yeah.
they're willing to talk about it.
It's all down to the rider for me. It's not about the bike so much. The bikes are good, and everybody can buy the same bike, and they can all buy the same product as what we use. It's who you put on it that makes the difference for me.
Yes.
You know, that's where the skill comes into it.
Well, I have to acknowledge you for what you've done with your son, both of them, and the support that you give them. And I think Keaton's going to be quite famous in the racing circuit.
Let's hope so.
Yes, I believe so.
Well, it's funny. You're here at the moment in Hawaii, from Hawaii, and Microlon's based in Austin, Texas. Keaton's an hour away in Texas as we speak. He's at a boot camp with Colin Edwards. And there's some road racers over there. and Keaton, not being a road racer, they've done some bike riding over there. He's ridden out there with some lads. There's 28 people there. He set the third fastest time by 200ths of a second behind the leader and 100th second behind the second guy. And they had 3 races. He had 2 wins in a second.
Good for
So
him.
maybe we should get some Microlon to him as well, just to give that bike that extra edge.
I think so. I think so.
It's only around the corner.
I'm so glad he's doing so well without it, because I wouldn't want anybody to attribute his performance
No.
to Microlon. you know.
No, and that's why I'm a firm believer in everybody should, if everybody can buy it, why not?
Yeah,
It's all down to the rider at the
absolutely.
end of the day. But I must say, thank you very much for taking the effort to come over.
Oh, it's been such a pleasure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel honored to be here.
Hey, no stress. We'll have to come to you.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Absolutely.
Don't bring Nigel. I can help myself.